Split, Yugoslavia, August 1990. The European Track and Field Championships, and for the very last time, 3 German Democratic Republic flags are raised at an international sporting arena. In the women's 100 meters final, the first 3 places had all gone to athletes from the GDR. And leading the way, their latest young discovery, 21-year-old KARIN. Krabbe was among a host of athletes from the successful sport club Neubrandenburg, who were honored at a recent club reception. Other gold medalists at Split from this club included BREUER in the 400 meters, relay runner Manuela Dörr, and 800-meter winner Sigrun Vodaz. All are potential Olympic champions. Neubrandenburg's success in Split underlined them as by far the most outstanding track and field club in Europe. The story here is typical of the GDR sporting system that discovered and nurtured so many great talents. The 5 athletes were all successful products of the Neubrandenburg boarding school, a part of the sports club. The infamous boarding school system must take much credit for producing the GDR sporting miracle, but it's also been heavily criticized for abusing the rights of young children.
Many West German or foreign journalists say that these boarding schools were like torture chambers for us. I don't agree. That's simply not true.
But the man who set up the whole boarding school system has different opinions.
Many of the training methods went against the advice of the scientists. And there were great differences between one school and another. Some of them were very tough on training, especially certain trainers who wanted to gain personal success by leading children to the top. I would even say that some of the methods were brutal.
But what kind of brutality?
For example, in gymnastics, I saw an old man, a trainer, tell a pupil to do the splits. Then the trainer sat on his back so that he couldn't move at all. He was totally passive because of the weight of the trainer on him.
The system begins with youngsters being talent spotted at local sports training centres. Those showing the best potential are then offered places at their local sports boarding school. There are 25 in the GDR. Here, expert training and tuition in their chosen sport is allied to academic studies. Some children, however, were started at their schools as young as 5.
This is wrong. We've explained the boundaries. The scientists have said it was wrong, even the Interior Ministry. But the DTSB went and did it anyway.
The state decreed that such matters were to remain, like so much else about the system, top secret.
If I'd opened up, my scientific work would have ended. My daughter's studies and my wife's teaching job would have been over. That's the truth. It was that difficult.
For many, though, the system provided everything that the budding athlete could want. 90% of the GDR team for the Seoul Olympics grew up in sports boarding schools.
Well, at 6 a.m. the alarm clock would ring. You had lessons, usually 2. Then a training unit followed. Another 2 hours school after that, and then lunch, followed by another 2 hours school. After school, we had another training unit until the evening. Then we did homework, had dinner, and usually had 2 or 3 hours free.
Youngsters at school who failed to meet given targets in their sport were asked to leave. The best were integrated into clubs like Neubrandenburg, who employed expert coaches in every discipline and had the facilities to match, like this 350-metre indoor tartan running track. Most of the top athletes still frequently train here in the cold winter months. It was these facilities, the boarding school system, and the 16 specialist coaches that all helped Sport Club Neubrandenburg to its lofty status. With funding running out, most of the GDR's boarding schools and clubs will close at the end of the year. Neubrandenburg is a welcome exception. Here, capitalist sponsors are taking over much of the funding previously shouldered by the communist government. 2.5 million Deutschmarks have been promised up to the end of 1992 by sportswear giants Nike. This will keep essential parts of the club alive, although most of the coaches face dismissal. In return, Nike will use their prime assets for marketing and promotion. Much of the Nike money will clearly be there to help those with the greatest chance of Olympic success. But for most of the GDR's future talent, is the road to Olympic glory now empty? Find out later in the programme when we conclude our investigation.
This is the derelict frontier between East and West Germany at Helmstadt, which still stands as an ugly reminder of the barrier that for 40 years divided a nation. Over the past 3 weeks, we've taken you all over what was once the German Democratic Republic and revealed the secrets behind the miracle that brought so much sporting success. But is the system that beat the world now also to become derelict? What happens to the grossly overfunded facilities and to the estimated 12,000 coaches now looking for new jobs? For some of the answers, we went to Bonn, headquarters of the new United German government, and met the country's parliamentary secretary.
The communist sports system has collapsed, together with the communist system. We don't want it to happen again. Of course, we want to use the positive findings and experiences of that system over here. We want to continue the central training arrangement and its possibilities. We want to keep the high-performance athletes and trainers, but not in the same dimension. We want to maintain the social position of the athlete. But financial resources here are much thinner than over there in the GDR.
So it's clear that the West Germans would like to retain the better parts of the GDR system, but they could never match the 3,000 million mark annual bill for cultural activities.
We don't finance any sports clubs, although we do give money to certain national associations. As far as a few of them getting money goes, it's a matter of borrowing. The government does not pay for any sports clubs here.
And what about the multi-sport excellence and sports medical research centres?
These high-performance centres like Leipzig and Kreischer will continue. Along what route has not yet been decided. It must first be discussed by the Sports Council.
Soccer is a sport that already knows its destiny. West Germany's world champions will be further strengthened by the imminent merger with their eastern counterparts. Hansa Rostock in blue are the current leaders of the GDR Oberliga, where the top 2 clubs will automatically qualify for the stronger Bundesliga next year. The next 6 will go into West Germany's 2nd division. Without the necessary finances, the future for the remaining clubs looks bleak. Many of the GDR's best players, like Andreas Thom and Ulf Kirsten, have already left for a better future in the West. The pair are the new stars with Bundesliga giants Bayer Leverkusen. The top athletes of today will clearly find their niche in the new Germany. Those who will suffer most will be coaches, sports administrators, and the athletes of the future.
We don't have coaches any longer who are as highly qualified and work as profoundly with the children and the young people as before. And thus there won't be a new generation to follow the top athletes of today. Many of the sports clubs didn't have new ideas, and they're now collapsing. Everything depends upon the ideas and initiatives of individuals. That's the problem.
One must handle the existing potential carefully, and the best out of both systems should be picked out and put together again to form a perfect system.
Whatever the future may hold, the world may never again see a sporting miracle quite like this.
For me, the biggest success I will always remember will be the sight of the athletes as winners with tears in their eyes and listening to the GDR's national anthem.